your journey to understand third-dimensional reality, but in the whole, this is not a negative thing. You will now use all of this. You now have all this experience, as you say, under your belt. You understand third-dimensional reality very well, and now you can take all of the limitation and transform it into an unlimited application.
Okay.
All right?
Next question.
Yes.
What is folded space, and how can is it possible for us to fold it?
Yes, and again, you actually do that all the time. And folded space is really nothing more than another way of understanding that everything is actually here and now. The idea is really to understand, again, there is only one spot here. There is only one now, and that is this moment, one moment, now. And everything is, in a sense, folded up within that. Now, in the physics sense, folded space can have a slightly different meaning, but it's still really based on the same principle that things can interpenetrate interdimensionally so that more than one thing can occupy any given volume at any given time as long as it interpenetrates each other in an interdimensional way.
Could you give us like a brief description on how that relates into physics?
The idea would be similar to the concept of what you would call or have already referred to as your wormhole. In a sense, it represents that in one particular structure, there is automatically enfolded a volume of space that in normal three-dimensional linear space-time terminology would require a much bigger volume to access or to get to or to travel to. Whereas in the wormhole, it's all wound up, it's all folded up, it's all bent up in a relatively short amount of volume, a short amount of space.
How can we find, access, or use a wormhole in the sense of physics?
Again, it can be created through certain devices with enough concentration of electrogravitic energy in any one given point that will actually allow space to be bent and folded up if the gravitational amplification is strong enough. Although, of course, if you're not careful, it will wreak havoc on your physical reality plane because it will literally smash anything within reach.
On a side question, is this related in any way to the propulsion systems of that the Greys use?
Some, yes. To some degree, yes. It is, to some degree, in some ships, a folded space type of effect that is achieved by their technology, yes.
Do they use gravity amplification?
Yes.
Okay. And
you are getting off the target.
I know. Okay. And is there an involvement with the Bose-Einstein condensate and how that relates to this?
There is to some degree, but it is tangential at this point, and we will not go in that direction right now. Let us continue.
Okay.
For the time is approaching, really, for the preparation and the meditation, which must come up now quickly.
Okay.
We may not get through all of your questions.
What does the Tesseract allow us to experience versus the other forms of sacred geometry?
The Tesseract, in particular, will allow you a little bit clearer, shall we say, perception that is designed to match the orientation you are already used to in perceiving physical reality, because the cube is an apt description, an apt analogy geometrically of your third density reality. And thus the Tesseract, being a hypercube, will bring with it some degree of familiarity that some of the other shapes may not have for you at first. They may seem a little too foreign to you in terms of the way the information is processed within them, whereas a cube, having height, width, and depth, is very familiar to you in terms of the three axes of physical reality.
Okay. And will you give us a sound tone tones going up so we can keep raising our frequency?
Nope.
Okay.
We are now going to be giving very shorthand answers.
How do we get into resonance identification?
Love. Unconditional love. This is the idea of resonance identification. You must match the frequency, you must synchronize, you must harmonize. The easiest way to do that is to unconditionally love something. The idea then is that that's why we have expressed that when you immerse yourself in this, when you love it, In the same way you would fall in love with anything or anyone, then you will have resonance identification. You will breathe it, you will live it, you will know it. It will be second nature, it will be you. That's resonance identification. There are many methodologies that you can utilize. Trust your imagination in this, but the primary fundamental underlying principle in all of it is literally unconditional love and absolute acceptance of the highest energies and excitement and creativity within yourself, for yourself, and for everything within infinite creation. That's really the fundamental principle. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes.